Welcome back to another foggy video and my last of 2024. Today I'm going to be going through 10 songs that I really cannot stand from albums that I absolutely love. Now, oh, what the hell was that? A couple of things before we get into it. I know that this thread has been done by a number of channels over the years. I know that Thralls of Metal did it probably 2 or 3 years ago. And Necrotic Nick said in his video that he got the idea of it from a channel called The Dark Path, which is an amazing channel which sadly no longer exists, which is a real shame because I used to love that channel. However, I know that other people have done this before then, so apologies to those for not being able to give credit, but I think quite a few people have done this one. At this point, I'm rambling now. I kind of feel like I have to keep my voice down because you don't know who's around here. It's quite weird, very eerie. I'd also like to point out that this list was actually surprisingly tough for me to put together. When I first thought of doing this one, I thought this would be quite easy, and it's not been. Usually I've got ideas for part 2 and part 3s of these kind of things, but it was a struggle to come up with 10 for this, but I did get there, so let's get through it. My first pick is Megadeth. From their debut album, Selling Is My Business, These Boots. This song fucking sucks. Megadeth, in my opinion, are a band who've never done covers well. I don't think a lot of the covers they've done I've always kind of found pretty woeful, if I'm quite honest. I could have easily chosen Peace Sells, as they had their cover of I Ain't Superstitious, but I do prefer that way more than These Boots. I could have chosen So Far So Good So What for its terrible cover of Anarchy in the UK, but that's far from being a perfect album. Though I do think I enjoy that album a lot more than a lot of other people. I think it gets a lot of shit for... I think it's quite an underappreciated album. There's some great songs on that one. But I had to choose this one because this is such a bad... Oh, God, it's just woeful. I cannot stand this cover. Now, I really enjoy the first album. I enjoy a lot of the earlier Megadeth stuff. But the first album, I think, is a great album. It really showcases how unique Dave's guitar playing and songwriting was, and of course his vocals. Megadeth were always the more technical of the bands, bringing in jazzier elements to what they did, and pretty much all of this album I enjoy. Last Rites has got some amazing riffs. Killing Is My Business, the title track, is an amazing song. Rattlehead is an absolute banger, and even the Mechanics has its own charm. I wouldn't say it's a great song by any means, but I kind of find myself being able to... I never skip it because it's just something so delightfully camp about it. It's quite funny. But this cover of These Boots fucking sucks. It is just an awful version. It's just a fucking awful version of a song that I'm not overly fond of in the first place. Was it Nancy Sinatra who sang it originally? In my eyes, it's irredeemable. I can't stand this song. I'm not going to go on about it anymore. It's shit. I never want to hear it again. Always a skip. Great album, terrible song. My next pick is Black Sabbath from Vol 4, and it is FX. Technically, this is a cheat because I know essentially this isn't really a song. This is an interlude piece, but I think what annoys me about this one so much is the pointless nature of it. There's no need to have this on here. I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people who would choose Changes as their, song from this album for this list. I happen to like that song. I think it's a great song. This is just so pointless. It really gets on my fucking nerves. Changes, I think, is actually a good song. I love the way it fades out. And it could have quite nicely gone into Supernaut. Just, you got the tempo come down and all chilled out. And then you go into Supernaut, which is a real nice rocking song. But instead, you've got this 1.5 minutes of bullshit. Of essentially what sounds like Tony Iommi just messing around with his guitar cable. And it's just shit. It just completely, it completely stops the mood. It's just shite. There's no reason to have it here at all. On Master of Reality, which is probably my favourite Black Sabbath album, you had little interlude pieces like Orchid and I've forgotten what's the other one. But they served a purpose. They were actual musical pieces. They were actually pleasurable to listen to. This is just bullshit. There's no need for it at all. I can only imagine, you know, their extracurricular activities at the time probably had a lot to do with it, but I've gone on about this way too much. I can't stand it. I always skip it. It just gets in the way. And I'm very sorry that you had to hear my big boy voice, but that's just the way it goes. Fuck this track. My next pick for this list is Good Friends and a Bottle of Pills from Far Beyond Driven by Pantera, of course. Now, this is one of the tracks that I've got on this list that is not necessarily, I don't necessarily hate this song. I really like the bass line, I really like the bass tone, but it's on here for a couple of reasons. The lyrics leave a lot to be desired, I think it's fair to say. And the main thing is it just kind of gets in the way. It's just more of a buzzkill, you know, it doesn't really do much other than just get in the way. You've got the opening 4 tracks of Strength Beyond Strength, which is an absolute banger of a song. A fantastic start to an album. You've got Becoming, 5 Minutes Alone, and then I'm Broken. So 4 bangers back to back. And then this song just kind of comes in. And I think the reason that I always end up skipping this one is just because there's so many bangers on this album. I just kind of want to get to that. There's so many gloriously heavy sections of this album that I just want to get into. So I don't necessarily think that this is a bad song per se. I can listen to it quite easily. But in terms of the album as a whole, I just find myself, just skip past this one. It really doesn't do anything for me. It's just occurred to me at the moment, I could essentially just walk around in a circle by the car and no one would be any the wiser because you can't see a goddamn thing anyway. But British weather. My next pick is Mastodon from Once More Round the Sun, and it's the track Aunt Lisa. Now, this album took me a while to get into. I remember this was the first Mastodon album where I got it and I didn't immediately take to it. Even The Hunter, I kind of dug straight away. There were definitely parts of it that took me off guard. I was expecting the next iteration of Crack the Sky or their proggier stuff, but even that album I kind of loved straight away. This album took me a while to get into, and now I pretty much love the entire album. There's so many great stuff on here, but this song is just never sat well with me. And a lot of it has to do with that awful chant section at the end. Hey ho, let's get up and rock and roll. Who was it who did it? The Coat Hangers and Gary Lindsay apparently guested on this one. It just makes me wince. It's just not a good... I don't like it at all. It's a blatant rip-off of Faith No More's Be Aggressive, which Marilyn Manson also did with the mob scene. Or mob scene, maybe not the, I don't know. My brain is as foggy as this fucking fog. But this track is just, it just doesn't do anything for me. I know there's a lot of people who've got a problem with Alone in the Deep, but I think that's a great song. I really don't understand people's issue with that one. This song, however, is just one that I can never get through. I mean, there's elements of the song that are okay, but as soon as I know it's getting to that bit at the end, for me, it does not make me want to rock or roll. It's just fuck off. Boring, tepid shit to my ears. So, yeah. Love Mastodon, love this album, but this track can fuck off. This next track is a bit of an odd one because I don't actually dislike this song, but I hate this version of it. And it's Devin Townsend from the Ziltoid The Omniscient album, Hyperdrive. Now, he would redo this song a couple of years later on the Addicted album with Anneke van Giersbergen handling the vocals. And it fares much better. It sounds amazing on that album, but this version of the song, it just feels a bit lifeless. I love this album. For anyone who's never heard Ziltoid The Omniscient, this is basically based on a made-up alien who is traversing the universe in search of the ultimate cup of coffee. And it is as enjoyable and funny as you would expect it to be, especially with someone of the caliber of Devin Townsend doing it. But yeah, this version of Hyperdrive, for me, there's just something truly lifeless about it. The production on Addicted is much bigger and it suits the song better. And Anneke van Giersbergen, her vocal, I mean, it's not like Devin's a bad vocalist by any means. Devin is an incredible vocalist, but everything about this version just kind of has a lifeless quality to it. I just really struggle with this version of it. So yeah, I just find when I'm listening to this album, this is one that I just skip past. Great song, terrible version. Just laughing at myself for this next one. My next pick is from Iron Maiden's debut, and it's Charlotte the Harlot. I've just always struggled with the lyrics on this one. It leaves a lot to be desired. Do you know what I mean? I think, you know, a lot of the music is kind of okay, and the chorus is really catchy. But yeah, whenever I hear this one, it just kind of, from day one, it was just kind of, yeah, it just doesn't really hold my attention like the rest of the album. You've got the opener, Prowler, which is such a great, catchy song. Remember Tomorrow really highlights Paul's vocal prowess and why he was such a great member of the band for those first two albums. Running Free with its hypnotic, galloping bass line, got Phantom of the Opera with its more sort of proggy tendencies. Transylvania and Strange World are just amazing songs. And the closer itself, Iron Maiden, is one of my favourites of theirs. I just, you know, it's their anthem, and I just absolutely love it. But this song just really stands out like a sore thumb for me, and I don't enjoy it at all. And I often skip this one. Amazing album, not so amazing song. Look at how eerie this shit's getting. Don't know if you can see that. Let's go into the forest. Gonna have to do some filming in the forest. I think it's too eerie not to. This is going to be fun. My next choice is Machine Head from the excellent The More Things Change album, and the track is Blistering. Now, I actually love the introduction to this song. The intro is absolutely amazing. You've got this, I guess it's like a dentist drill going off. Gives this real unsettling feeling. Adam Duce kicks in with this amazing bass line that's soon mirrored by these really heavy guitars. It builds up nicely with the drums, and then Rob comes in with this, you know, this scream that's just amazing. Really gets the blood pumping, and then it just kind of really goes nowhere. So I always listen to the intro, but once we got past that, I just kind of, you know, it doesn't really do anything for me. The rest of this album's absolutely killer. Let me just turn around, get the forest in shot. I know a lot of people sing this album's praises, but not enough give it the credit that it truly deserves. I think this is an incredible album, and it's a great introduction to the song. But it just doesn't hold the energy that the intro promises, which is a real shame, because fucking great intro, gets me charged up and then just kind of brings me down. That told me. The woods fight back. This is cool. This next one I suspect might get a few people annoyed, because this is Fear Factory from the Obsolete album, and it's Descent. And this is another one that I kind of know is a good song. In fact, I was actually listening to it this morning in preparation for this video, and I was kind of like, you know, it's an okay song. I kind of don't mind it. But for some reason, whenever I'm listening to this album, it gets to this song, and I don't know if it's a muscle memory thing, but it just doesn't hold my attention like the rest of the album. Whenever I get to this one, I just can't help but skip to the next. I guess it's a little poppier poppy's not quite the right word, but more on the melodic side of things. It's not as brutally heavy as some of the rest of the album. I know deep down it's not a bad song, but it does nothing for me. And yeah, I just skip this one. So I'm not going to justify it, mate. Would you come here? My next pick is White Zombie with a fantastic Astro Creep 2000 album, and it's El Phantasmo and the Chicken Run Blastorama. I think I got that one right. This one I think is more about the sequencing more than anything. It's not necessarily a bad song, but you've got 8 tracks before this which are all bangers, and then after this you've got Blur the Technicolor and Blood Milk and Sky. You know, Blur the Technicolor is just this awesome funky riffage, and Blood Milk and Sky is just this atmospheric ominous, sort of sounding, haunting song. And this one just kind of just gets in the way of it. It just, if I listen to it on its own, I think, no, it's a kind of an okay song, but for some reason, within the context of the album as a whole, it just bores me, and I can't be done with it. You can tell that I listen to a lot of music in the 90s, can't you? I'm realising as I'm going through my list, oh God, I'm old as fuck. This forest is almost a metaphor for my life, shrouded in grey and mist. My brain just don't do ad-libs like I used to. And my final pick from the album Life Is Killing Me by one of my favourite bands of all time, Typo Negative, We Were Electrocute. There's a lot to enjoy on this album. The opening track, 13, is just this dark, sludgy, Sabbath-esque introduction piece. You've got I Don't Want to Be Me, arguably one of their most popular and well-known songs. Less Than Zero, Todd's Ship Gods. You've got more hardcore stuff like I Like Goyles and the incredible Anesthesia. There's a huge amount of this album that I absolutely adore, but yeah, this is just one of those songs that I just kind of find I get to it and just skip past. I once again realised that I've fallen into that kind of thing that I do with a lot of these lists of not really hating these songs, but I find it difficult to disrespect art in many ways. I really do. You know, there are certain tracks at the beginning of this that I really don't enjoy, and they were the ones that first came to mind. But like I said at the beginning of this video, this really was a tougher one to put together than I thought. I thought that I'd have no problem coming out with a list for this, but it's actually a lot more. I can't see me doing a part 2 for this, but I am intrigued to hear your guys' thoughts, your guys' picks, because it might well be that if I agree with enough of them, then I could do a part 2. So this is very much one of those ones where I need your comments for this one. I keep trying to talk to you guys and I just get carried away with this wonderful atmosphere here. So I think I'm going to head off. This is my last album. This is my last video of 2024. And I'm just going to enjoy this atmosphere, I think. So yeah, leave your comments and I'll see you in the new year. I've got something special planned for New Year's Day, hopefully. Well, I say something special, it's just another video. But it'll be relevant to, you know, to the new year. I'm going on. I'm just going to enjoy this for a little while. How atmospheric and cool is that?